Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Redneckologist show. This is Spur, and today we're going to talk about hurricanes and global warming and all of that kind of stuff that people get their feathers all in a ruffle about. So, if you are one of those types of people that has a strong line you've drawn in the sand regarding global warming and hurricane intensity and storm intensity, and you don't like facts, then you might want to turn this off right now. But with that said, I just want to say that it's scientifically provable that we have global warming. Temperatures are getting warmer. They are. Now, it's sort of like a car jack. Let me talk about this for a second. And people say, oh, it still gets cold in the winter. There's no global warming. That's absurd. Okay. You're not reading. You're not looking. You're not listening. Right. Now, what we're not going to get into today is why. But let's talk about that there is global warming, that hurricanes are becoming more frequent and more intense, and so are tornadoes. We've had some bad years. Just like a car jack, when you go down on the jack, the car goes up. When you come up on the jack, it goes down slightly. Then you go back down and it goes up more. Then you come back up with the jack and the car goes back down just a little. And you do that enough, and all of a sudden the car is way up in the air over time, right? Depending on how fast you're jacking that thing up. Just like that. Just like that on one of those the lever jacks. I'm not talking about the spinny jacks, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Just like that, temperatures go up, and they do go down in the winter, and then over time, you can't do this from year to year. You can't measure this from year to year. You have to measure this over a long period of time, and then over that long period of time, you'll see some dips, you'll see some spikes. But then you'll also see this gradual increase in overall temperatures. And when you have an increase in the temperature at sea level, over the ocean's surface, you have warming of the waters, you have warming in the atmosphere, you're going to have more intense storms. They're going to be able to pull more moisture in. They're going to be in that warmer environment, and they're going to intensify. So we can measure all of this. Now, what's causing it? I don't know. And neither do the scientists, not completely. They have theories. They can point to greenhouse gases. They can point to fossil fuel burning. They can point to a lot of things. And I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. And I'm not saying that that is right or wrong. I'm just saying that I think it's a large combination of a whole bunch of things. Now, are there some things that we're doing as humanity that is the biggest trigger of this thing? Again, I don't know, and I think we can say yes in an educated way, but we haven't proven that. And I'm not here to debate that part. So, but it's sort of like this: like if you go to a doctor, and the doctor says, you say, hey, I've been taking this for this thing I think I have. And the doctor says, let me check you out. Let's run a few tests and let's see if I can determine, more accurately maybe what's going on here. And they run a few tests and come back and say, oh, yeah, what you have, what we think you have, that stuff you have been taking is not doing anything for that at all. We're going to have to change you to this other prescription. Are you going to sit there and go, nah, I think I'm right, you're wrong, don't care how long you went to school for this stuff, I'm right, I'm just going to keep taking this medicine? Or are you going to try what the doctor wants you to try? Some of you out there may say, no, I'm going to stick with whatever. Well, why did you even go to the doctor in the first place if you're not going to listen, right? So you go to a doctor for a reason, because what you're trying is not working, or it's not working fast enough, or the thing's not running its course, or whatnot. But when you go, you listen, and you say, oh, okay, but let me preface that by saying the doctors aren't always right. They're not always right. Sometimes they don't know for sure. Sometimes they want to try something, take an educated guess at something to try. And you may try this treatment option or this medication or whatever, and the doctor will say, come back in 2 weeks and let's see how you're doing. That's why they do that. You come back in 2 weeks, now, doc, nothing's changed. All right, well, let me run a few more tests and let's maybe get you on a different medicine. That's what they do. And that's what climatologists do, not Scientologists. They do something completely different. Okay, but the climatologists and all that, they study this stuff and they take educated guesses at things. But they know how the barometric pressure and the sea temperatures and all that stuff can affect these things. They know that better than the average bear. So when they're taking a guess at something and saying, if we decreased our carbon footprint, if we did this or that, it might help. Well, let's give it a shot. Let's take that medicine for a little bit and see if it works. But we have to do it for long enough. That 2 weeks may be 20 years. When it comes to the climate, it's a very slow change on this stuff, and we may not see a change. But even if, like one report came out and it said, we could reduce global warming or the effects of or whatever by 0.5% or whatever. Okay, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, 0.5%, blah blah blah. That's idiotic. We're not going to do anything for 0.5%. But what you're not taking into consideration is not only did it help 0.5%, it stopped the negative effect. Now that's only in theory. We never tried it because everybody went ape crap over 0.5%, not realizing that it's really more like 3 or 4% gain, because instead of continuing to get worse and worse, the theory was that it would actually help it a little bit, which would even stop the progression of negativity. So those are the types of things that we need to start understanding, because if we don't, and we don't start listening to those who are in a better position than we are to make these determinations, and stop letting politicians who are not scientists get into these ugly debates, we're going to continue to have increasing, catastrophic, devastating storms. And I'm not saying that anything we could do would stop that. I'm not going to predict that. I'm not a scientist, right? But I've heard scientists say, hey, let's give this a shot and see if it helps. Okay. I'm sitting here going, okay, let's give it a shot. But it's stuff that everyone has to be on board with, and we're just not there yet. It's a maturity level thing. We're just not mature. So if you liked this content that I'm bringing you, as always, please subscribe.